Welcome to the Lightforge Podcast, Murder a Castle Nathria Arena Card Review Stream Podcast, Bod, whatever. This is Abukta.
This is Merps. Congratulations, you actually got the name right. I thought it was Zero Shot. You actually said Nathria. That
I
was
did
a
say
surprise.
Nathria. If you notice, I corrected the tab on our spreadsheet that used to say Narathia to Nathria like half an hour ago when I was
Yeah,
like moving
I
things.
was shocked. Good job. All right. Step one down for this very, very long ordeal that we are about to have. If you guys know our reviews, it usually takes a while. So strap yourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Preemptive thank you to all the mods and everybody here, but we're gonna get started. Murder at Castle Nathria is the latest expansion. It is hitting Hearthstone this upcoming Tuesday, August 2nd. So that means we're recording Sunday afternoon. We know all the cards. We're gonna go through all of them,
They released the
and
card super early this time.
they did. They
It
released
was
them
really
very, very
nice.
early on.
So the process normally works like I math out the cards and then I send them all to Merps, and then he does his review of the cards and sends them back, and then we do that. So I did my first review of the cards actually on my trip in Mongolia, like in the grasslands of Mongolia, with in a like UNESCO World Heritage Preserve thing in a ger, because they didn't kick the people off when they made it a preserve, so there's some people still there on gers, and it's just nothing all around. I have like these excellent pictures, but anyway, that's where I reviewed these cards. So if goats and sheep and horses got extra points, that's probably why.
Okay, so, new expansion is coming out. We got all the juicy card reviews. But before we go to the S tier cards and A tier cards and all of those scores that you all love to find out and argue and tell us why we're wrong, we got to talk about the rotation. What
Oh
cards are
yes.
leaving, what cards are coming in, and overall, because of the new sets, what the feel of the meta might be. Because once again, if you guys remember, let's just take a quick snapshot of what has happened the past few months and what the meta is right now. I think the best description of the current meta right now today, Sunday, July 31st, 2022, is it's kind of a fiesta meta because the latest patch undid or unwound basically a lot of the micro adjust that they did, getting rid of some real powerful cards. For example, Venomous Scorpid is a
It's
card again.
back.
It's back. A lot of the things that
Is it
Matt
fully back or
Lundman
is it
and
just
team
like a
did.
little back?
No, it's like fully
Oh
back, I
god.
believe. So yeah, it's a fiesta meta once again. People are drafting RBOs, right? You
Uh-huh.
will see Venomous Scorpid. You're gonna see Night Captains, all of the stuff that they basically micro adjusted out of the meta. If you see a Night Captain, a couple weeks before, it was like, oh wow, they were lucky enough to get a Night Captain. And now if you see a Night Captain, it's like, oh yeah, it's a common card, right? And that's sort of what happened. So right
Wait,
now, it is
really?
currently the
I'm looking
Fiesta
at an
meta.
HS replay right now. It's not. The rates are haven't gone up for Night Captain.
I don't know specifically about Night Captain.
Okay,
I know
just
Scorpid is
like
up.
Mothership hasn't gone up, Night Captain hasn't gone up. Well, they undid the Discover, so
Yeah,
Scorpid is back up. So Scorpid used to
Scorpid
be
is definitely back up.
so Scorpid used to be 26%, and then they nerfed it the first round, and it became 14%, and then they did the big Discover nerf of everything, and it became 1%, and now it's back to 14%. So they undid the latest nerfs, but not the ones from before that, right? So Night Captain is still down because it was nerfed before. Or actually, even Night Captain was nerfed second round too, but it stayed down because it's not a Discover reversion. So they just reverted the Discover cards. And
Gotcha.
maybe some other
Okay,
things, but it's not everything
so
that they did in the latest round of killing. Like, I guess Colossals and Discover is what they reverted.
yes, you do see the Colossus as well. So let's talk about how this upcoming rotation, which remember happens on Tuesday, so it's right around the corner, will change the meta. The current expansions in the meta are Core, Boomsday Project, Descent of Dragons, Forge in the Barrens, United in Stormwind, Fractured in Alterac Valley, and Voyage to the Sunken City, including the Throne of Tides mini set. And instead of these sets, we are getting replaced by Core once again, One Night in Karazhan, Rastakhan's Rumble, Saviors of Uldum, Skullman's Academy, Madness at the Dark Moon Fair, and of course, the new expansion, Murder at Castle Nathria. So, one thing that you want to look at immediately is wow, we are really taking sort of a step back into the past because the
Hmm.
meta that we are currently in, other than the Boomsday Project, these are all powerful recent sets with very good cards. So let's just go through some of the standouts that are leaving. So these are all from the current sets. First of all, if you want to talk about Descent of Dragons, a lot of dragon synergies and discovers are taken away. I think a lot of people will be generally pretty happy about this. I think whenever Descent of Dragons is in, Descent of Dragons is one that was problematic when it first came out, and it has only become more problematic with the discover enabling things that are present in the most recent expansions as well. So Descent of Dragons is something that was bad when it first came out, and then people got tired of Twin Tyrant, and then it just sort of became worse as it became incorporated into recent expansions as well. With Forged in the Barrens, you're taking away some real powerful neutral cards, and especially powerful early game cards that made early game tempo easier. The meta always depends on exactly the offering rates and everything, but if you look at Fortune of the Barons, you had Ectoplasm, you had Sunwell Initiate, right? Two premium 3 drops. We have Venomous Scorpid, which is can be micro adjusted into Oblivion, obviously, and then that can be reverted as well. But you're taking away a lot of these very strong early game cards
Hmm.
that you will see. For example, when we get to some weak sets like Karazhan and Rastakhan's Rumble, they are not being replaced by
They're
any
not
card of the
sets.
same degree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you're talking about these old sets, they basically don't exist. They're just filler and they just lower your quality of your deck and you're going to get a little more variance, but they don't really matter, right? Like what matters are the later sets that get added in.
Yep. So let's move on to United and Stormwind. This was actually kind of a tame set. Sneed's is going to be gone, Sneed's Masterpiece, which
Hmm.
once again, a lot of it was like mech discovers, right? And then of course, um, there are many ways to discover mechs. Voyage to the Sunken City made Sneed's worse. If you remember, Voyage to the Sunken
Hmm.
City had many ways to discover mechs. You also had like Amalgam of the Deep, which lets you discover basically dragons and mechs and whatever you wanted, Nagas as well. So, Sneeds is out, but it was also a meta that enabled Sneeds. Morg Forge Fiend is out, just a big taunt that gave you armor as well. I think
Hmm.
pretty important for United and Stormwind, tradable stuff is gone.
Yeah.
And that is something that a lot of people might not really notice in too many games, the effect of tradable. But tradable really improved the consistency of your deck as well. And
Hmm.
this is going to be a theme that we see. I'll preview it right now. Uh, Discovering is one of the aspects that improves the quality and consistency of your deck, right? And improves the power level and also the consistency. Tradable is also one that improves sort of like the consistency of your deck as well, right? A lot of
Hmm.
times you're able to trade into, you just have more access to a lot of the more powerful stuff. With tradable being gone and with discovers taking a hit, uh the
Well,
basically
are they taking a hit?
they are taking a hit in terms of the cards
Oh, the
that,
cards that are coming in are not as big on
well,
Discover as the cards leaving.
also the discover cards that are coming in are more limited in sort of
Okay.
either the initial stats they give
Right,
or
right.
the pool that they're
Yeah.
pulling from. For
Oh.
example, one like instead of Venomous Scorpid, we have like Volpera Scoundrel, right? But
Right,
also
right.
Volpera Scoundrel is an epic. Volpera Scoundrel also
Mm.
does not have poison attached to it. Yes, instead you get a mystery box, which I know some people are like, "Ooh, a mystery box. That's better than anything." Uh,
You get an
another
extra
great
face damage.
another great example is Golden Scarab, right? Like that you
Mm.
discover a 4. Ooh, these are things that, like, yes, you still have discovers coming in, but the overall power level of those discovers is not nearly as high. For example, and for some class discovers as well, like Ruined Orb is going out, right? Like
Hmm.
that is just such a powerhouse small card with big potential for mages. So that's one of those themes that you will see as well. Tradable cards are gone, so no more Rustrot Viper, no more Royal Librarian, no more Traveling Merchant, and you are missing all of these ridiculously powerful and flexible discovers that typically discover from a really good pool.
Hmm.
So that is something that you will feel immediately. Okay, let's move on to the next set, which is Fractured and Alterac Valley. No more Bunker Sergeant. Bunker Sergeant, a card that has defined the meta for so long. Um, that's gone, along with Ram Commander. I think when you think of Bunker Sergeant, you always think of Ram Commander. These are
Hmm.
two that go hand in hand, and
It's the
really,
pings, like not
yeah, it's
just
the
those, but you
pings.
haven't gotten to the set yet. But like Reef Walker's leaving too. It's all these easy pings that are all going away.
So, those are leaving. Corporal, Knight Captain,
Hmm.
Troll Centurion. These are all staples for the neutral cards that are leaving. No more RBO. Raid Boss Onyxia is no more. Now, Raid Boss Onyxia. This isn't one of those things where like, oh, you take away Raid Boss Onyxia, everything is fixed. But I think some people will be very happy about it. Let's talk about some of the class cards that are gone as well, because Fractured and Alterac Valley, if you remember that review, it seems so long ago. It introduced some of the most powerful class cards really we have ever seen. So Rune of
Hmm.
the Archmage is gone. And for those of
Hmm.
you happy or sad about it, you should be also happy/sad that Box of Yogg-Saron is back in. So Rune is gone. Box of Yogg is back in, but Templar Captain is leaving. Two of the most obnoxious cards, in most people's opinion, for Shaman are leaving in Wildpaw Cavern
Yay!
and Snowfall Guardian. Okay. Bloodseeker is gone from Hunter. Rip Hunter. I guess Hunter will never be good again.
Well, no hope for
And
Hunter.
also, Scale of Onyxia is leaving for Druid, a card that really, really, along with Miracle Growth, defined the Druid meta for
Hmm.
so long when it first came out. If you guys remember that, where Druid just dominated and you just couldn't beat them, right? Like, unnerfed Miracle Growth with Scale of Onyxia, what are you supposed to do? They have unlimited card advantage, initiative, etc. And then, of course, we have Voyage to the Sunken City leaving. Just one word, colossal,
Hmm.
right? Voyage to the Sunken City certainly had tons and tons of very powerful non legendary minions. But due to the power level of colossal minions and the additional ways that you could generate colossal minions, whether it was Ambassador Phelan or Queen Ashara, right? And you can trigger these pretty easily. Like, you can get a dredge for the Phelan. You are able to get the spells to trigger the Queen Ashara. Colossal minions were everywhere, and you would see them in tons and tons of games. So no more colossal minions. I think so many people will be happy about that because there's only so many ways to play around a Leviathan, to play around a Gigafin. It's just super duper tough. Additionally, with Voyage leaving, you don't have Dredge, right? You don't have Dredge cards. So once again, no tradable,
Hmm.
no, like this really downgrade in power and consistency in the discovers, right? And no Dredge. You're kind of more stuck with the hand that you got. This is going to be, one of those things that you feel. Because with the metas that we have seen recently, you're used to your hand not being your hand. And especially in like the Taverns of Time meta, in which you have Possibility Seeker, right? Possibility Seeker just like also put that into overdrive. Like your hand doesn't have to be your hand. You can trade stuff. You can dredge up something. You can just your hand is so much bigger than what you see. Your hand is going to be much more limited once we get into the newest meta. Now, there's certainly going to be very powerful cards, but you're going to feel this, even though you're going to have generation from stuff like Scholomance. And anytime Scholomance is in, you're going to have a lot of generation. But I think what we have now in today's meta, and part of the reason people call it such a fiesta meta, is because of this. Like, you have access to so much stuff because of discovers, tradables, and also dredge. But lastly, for Voyage's Sunken City, no more divers, no more mothership.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to be happy about this. The divers were just a core piece of the meta as well. You know, Gangplank Diver was pretty polarizing card. You know, not always consistently the best card, but it could run away with games. Pelican Diver was great. And Slime Scale was fantastic. You know, just one of the best three
Mm-hmm.
drops we've kind of ever had. So these are the powerful, powerful cards that are leaving.
Are you going to ignore the number one performing card in neutral in this set? You just gonna gloss over Mothership?
I talked about Mothership. Did you not hear me? I actually said Mothership.
Oh, okay. Just wanted
Are
to make
you
sure
that far
we
gone?
talk about Mothership.
What the
It's
heck?
very important to me that we talk about Mothership.
Okay, we talked about Mothership. I said that it's gone.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway, besides that Mothership is gone and it will be a better meta for it, just no matter what they do, is that the sets leaving are generally standard, and the sets coming in are generally, I mean, they're all not standard, besides the new set. So this power level discrepancy, like Mertz is talking about the consistency, right? Which is something you're going to feel, but beyond the consistency, just the huge power level dip, where Skullomance and Dark Moon Fair are your best sets. That's gonna be huge. Like, I know in our minds we probably think Skullomance is a pretty good set, right? Dark Moon Fair had some powerful cards. No, compared to the last two sets, they do not. They are okay sets. They're not dead sets like Karazhan, but they're only okay. And Murder at Castle Nathria did not have to do any kind of power creep in order to stand out in this meta. Like, you are just going to be seeing Nathria cards all over the place because all of them are going to be picked all the time because it's the only standard set coming in.
Yeah. Look, Murder at Castle Nathria. We don't have to talk about the specific cards, but I don't think anybody will be surprised to know that it just completely blows away some of these older sets. And let's talk about these older sets. So
Yeah.
Core is coming back. We don't have to talk about Core. That stays the same. One Night in Karazhan is coming back. Now, let me give you a snapshot of what this set involves. Some of the best neutral cards we're seeing are stuff like Pompous Thespian, Violent Illusionist. So just like vanilla cards with a tiniest bit of upside, right? And when you get to bad cards, we have stuff like it breaks my heart. You know I love this card, but we get to stuff like Pantry Spider, you know? We get to my boy Pantry Spider.
Oh no, is this one
great.
of those sets where I'm gonna have to take Pantry Spider? I took whenever the hell Pantry Spider was last in the meta, I took so many Pantry Spiders. And they were terrible every time, but they were the best option so many times.
They were, hey, they look, and when you drop them, you're like, you know what, this wasn't the worst. This wasn't the worst. But class cards from One Night in Karazhan, if you remember, One Night in Karazhan was a small set. So two that like really kind of stand out, or really just one that stands out, Firelands Portal, which in 2022, you're like, this is what I should get for 7 mana. Like, deal 5 damage and get a random, yeah, right? You're like, okay, this is, you know, you definitely take it, and I think you'll take it over, you know, some other cards. But it's definitely not the auto pick, right? When Firelands Portal first came out, it was like, okay, you take Firelands Portal, and maybe you think about like the 5th or 6th one, like maybe you think about it. Right now, you look at Firelands Portal, and it's just like, okay, well, let's take a good, honest look. Is it up against a Castle Nathria card? And if it is, you know, what card is it up against? 7 mana for 5 damage, and then a random 5 drop is just kind of like, okay, that is exactly what I should get for 7 mana.
Like
That's
it's
exactly what I should get.
yeah, like this is what I mean. This is exactly what you should get for 7 mana. I just did some quick math, so don't hold me to it. But I'm pretty sure this card is like a B, if not a C plus, probably a B.
It's probably B, which is
Like
good. A B is good.
it's good, but in the current standard, like the cards that you're worried about, it's not even a B plus. It's not even close to a B plus. It's like much closer to a C plus than a B plus. Like
Right.
we're not talking like Ram Commander here, you know, like the ultra powerful card that is Ram Commander. We're talking about like something closer to a Yeti than a Ram Commander.
Well, so think of it this way. If Firelands Portal was at a B, that would make it a small slash decent amount worse than Night Captain, right?
Way
And I think
worse,
most people would agree with
way
that.
worse than Night Captain.
I mean, it's significant, but yeah, it would be worse than Night Captain. And I think people are like, oh yeah,
Yeah, of
that
course
makes
it's
sense.
worse
It's
than
like,
Night
would you
Captain.
rather have Firelands Portal or Night Captain? I think you'd
Easy
obviously
Night
rather have Night
Captain.
Captain, right? Yep. So that's coming back. And really, Firelands Portal is kind of the only card that is super
Mm-hmm.
notable. So really weak set. Let's talk about the next set, Rastakhan's Rumble, which, if you remember at that time, Rastakhan's Rumble was weak even
Mm-hmm.
at that
Mm-hmm.
stage. So there's really only a couple standouts. We can talk about the class first. Mass Hysteria is back, so just really annoying ways for Priest to be Priest. And we also have a Baited Arrow, like, which is once again just
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like, that's kind of what you once again what you should get, right? For the mana. And if you compare that to the Hunter cards that are coming back, you're like, this is just not that good. Dragon Ball Scorcher is back, and Dragon Ball Scorcher is legit. Like, it's fine, right? You will take that. The 1 damage AoE is totally fine. Ticket Scalper is back. Haha. I remember I know a
Well,
lot of people will be
it's
like,
terrible now.
I mean, it is terrible. It is actually a trash tier card. But it's just sort of funny because Ticket Scalper.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Saviors of Oldham, and really, let's just talk about Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, one of the most beloved cards of all time that is coming back. And if you know mages at all, you know they will find ways to discover it, to play it, to stall. And that is one of the things with this meta as well. It's going to be slow. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be hard to be fast. I can't say that for certain because the devs have such a heavy thumb on the scale, if they want to, in order to shift the meta however they want.
No, it's
But
gonna be slow.
with the way that the meta is looking, it is certainly seems like it's going to be slow. So all of these big payoff, big bomb cards are going to be notable because they're going to be played because you're going to have time to get played. Now, let's move to the two sets that are
Mm-hmm.
really interesting here: Skullman's Academy and Madness of the
So
Darkmoon
there, if you
Fair.
look at the years, right? Like Skullman's Academy and
Hmm.
Madness the Dark Moon Fair are both in the same year cycle, and that's the year that just rotated out. So that is the most relevant of the sets that are here. Remember, zero standard sets besides the new set coming in. So those are your power sets, and they're not that powerful compared to current sets.
So let's talk about the cards that are coming back, and then we can talk about what this means for the meta. So Skullman's Academy, whenever you think of Skullman's Academy, I think you have to think of this set of neutral cards that really define Skullman's Academy and put such a strong mark on the meta. That's Broomstick, Fishy Flyer, Smug Senior, Onyx Mage Scribe, Plagued Proto Drake, and Steward of Scrolls. I think we're all in agreement that, like, whenever these cards are back, you see these a lot, and these have a huge, huge impact. And what do? They drag the game on. They
Mm-hmm.
like cards like Broomstick, Fishy Flyer, and Smug Senior.
Mm-hmm.
The three cards that I'm talking about, they prolong the game,
Well, okay,
right?
I'm not sure
Smug,
about Broomstick
well,
for
what
the
they do,
prolonging the game part.
no, well, Broomstick allows you to have this initiative.
Mm.
Like, that's the thing. Like, and the thing I see with Broomstick as well is, like, it just solves a lot of these problems, right? Like, what does Bunker Sergeant and Ram Commander
Mm.
effectively do, and
Mm-hmm.
why are they so valuable? It's because Okay, in order to win with really good cards and bombs, you have to, jot this down, not lose.
Smart.
Broomstick is great at not losing, right? And the value of not losing is higher than ever because in order for you to just be able to play your bomb or just have time to like, cobble together one of your combos, and you better have a combo. You better have a combo these days. Because if you don't and you're just playing vanilla, like that doesn't get it done, right? So, and if you've noticed these days, especially if you're playing a vanilla deck, if you don't have a sick win condition, if you don't have like a sick combo, and if you're just playing like pretty decent stats for the cost turn after turn, you lose. You like 100% lose.
So
There's no way you win with
I don't
that.
think it's going to be as much like that as the previous meta because
Sure.
the sets that were doing a lot of that are all out. Those are the standard sets. And
Yeah. I'm
Scallamance
saying this is
wasn't
why I'm
really
like,
like that, right? And neither really was Dark Moon Fair. Dark Moon Fair was a little more like that, but
no,
the real combo potential here is going to be in Nathria. That this whole
yes,
set is like combo.
there's combo potential there. So one thing to note about Skullman's Academy is that together with Madness of the Dark Moon Fair, these were the two sets that together made Demon Hunter just terrible. Made
Mm.
Demon Hunter a complete plague on the arena because Skullman's Academy had Ancient Voidhound plus Cycle of Hatred, and Madness at the Dark Moon Fair had Expendable Performers. So,
Oh,
Cycle of Hatred and Expendable Performers are both back in the meta right now.
all
Like,
right.
we've
They're
had
gonna get
metas.
nerfed to hell immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like your first week or your first 4 days is going to be Demon Hunter being like 60% win rate. Just because. And then they're gonna get nerfed.
Those two cards, Cycle of Hatred and Expendable Performers, still remain two of the most powerful cards to ever exist in the arena. So those cards are really good. Now, it is potentially balanced by slight preview. A lot of the bad cards that Demon Hunters are getting, but we shall
Nope,
see.
nope, not that's not
Um,
how not balanced. You can't balance
remember
performers. No
that
amount of bad cards balances performers.
remember that all the study cards are coming back for Skullman's Academy, so that is some additional flexibility. Discovers Blessing of Authority is back for Paladins. Paladins continue to be very annoying. Madness of the Dark Moon Fair is defined by corrupt mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
which if you guys don't remember, you have to play something that has higher cost in order to corrupt it. And once you corrupt the card, it gains some an additional stats or additional ability. So you have stuff like Circus Medic, Carnival Clown, Dark Moon Dirigible, and Fleet Hoof Pearl Tusk coming back. I think those are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that people see the most often.
Yep.
And then you have just super duper solid cards such as Claw Machine coming back, and the sort of super standout is Derailed Coaster, which you guys
Ah,
remember
yes.
was really good in the previous meta and has only gotten better because of the infused mechanic. So Derailed Coaster is now really good.
Oh, that's right. The Roller Coaster does
Yeah.
synergize very well with the upcoming infuse mechanic.
Yes. So
As
Derailed
does
Coaster,
performers.
as does Performers. I know. Performers is disgustingly good now. Performers is like the
I love how
best card
chat's just
ever.
like, oh, but like the new Demon Hunter cards suck. I'm like, I don't care. Performance exists. Performance exists, and it's over. Like, I don't care how much you dilute it. You gotta actually nerf the offering rate.
So Madness of the Dark Moon Fair also introduced some real powerful class cards such as Arbor Up. Arbor Up,
Mm-hmm.
one of
Mm-hmm.
the most powerful
That was
cards.
the first S tier card we rated because that was the first set that went into our new system.
Yeah, Arbor Up, I mean, continues to be amazing. A lot of it depends on what they give to Druid as well, right? Hysteria is back, so we're in a meta in which priests have mass hysteria as well as hysteria. Have fun with that.
Yay.
Enjoy that, guys. Dunk Tank is back for Shaman.
Mm,
Just one of the most powerful AoE clears, like
yeah.
pure damage cards we've ever seen as well. Like just super duper good, right? So, and then of course we have the Murder at Castle Nathria cards, which we will talk about. What does that really mean? Well, the games are going to go long because there's going to be a lot of delay in the value and power that you
Mm-hmm.
get. So Here is everything that will delay the game and push you to want to delay the game. Number one, we have the corrupt mechanic, right? Like we talked about. Number two, we have the spell burst cards, like for example, your
Hmm.
Onyx Mage Scribe, right? And then we haven't even begun talking about the new mechanics. And the two big
Hmm.
new mechanics that are really going to push the game longer are Infuse, that we talked about. So Infuse is a mechanic in which anytime a minion dies on your side, it infuses the card in your hand. If it's infused three things on your side of the board need to die. If it's like infused five, well, five things need to die for this extra effect to trigger. Additionally, we have location cards. Location cards are cards that can be played for their mana cost, and then they just
Hmm.
stay there. It's kind of like an enchantment, right? In
Yeah.
Magic, it's sort
Yeah.
of like an enchantment in Magic in
It's
which
like
it
a
stays
weapon in
there.
Hearthstone.
Right, a weapon. Yeah, and then you are able to use that effect for however many charges, however many, yeah, charges the location has, with the caveat that once you use a charge of a location, there is a 1 turn cooldown. So you can't, if you use it on this turn, you can't use it on the next turn, and then you can use it on the turn after that. So locations are one of those cards that you will see some of them are very, very powerful, but they
Hmm.
take a while, right? So
Hmm.
you have these cards that are slow and want you to take your time with them. And I think both sides will be incentivized in order to do it. Now, the counterpoint is like, oh, well, if everybody's going slow, well, can you go fast? And we saw a little bit of that shift, right, with this previous meta in which people were able to be tempo possible. I think
Hmm.
that was the term that we used. And look, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to exactly what the offering odds are, exactly what adjustments they are going to make, because Blizzard has shown that they are not afraid to make very dramatic adjustments. But from the onset, from everything that we're talking about here, man, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough too because and this is like the inconspicuous cards that sneak through that actually affect the meta a lot. What was that 4 drop? The reborn 4 drop that's coming back. That's a 2/5 taunt reborn from Oldham. Because Oldham has the reborn mechanic. I think it's the neutral card, Bone Wraith.
Bone
Thank you,
Wraith.
Coast from chat. Like cards like that, right? They do what cards like Tar Creeper did in prior metas, which is just act as a stopper that really stacks the deck against these kinds of tempo plays. And Bone Wraith is still a really good card, and you're going to take it, and it's a common neutral. So we're talking about a lot of the cards that are more powerful than Bone Wraith. But Bone Wraith is going to be a sneaky good card in this set if tempo ever starts to become tempo possible. Like Bone Wraith will make it tempo impossible.
Yeah, look, it's just pretty tough for kind of tempo possible decks to be possible as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at sort of everything that you're going up against, right? You have really weak early game cards because you don't have Sunwell Initiate anymore. You don't have like
Yeah.
Ectoplasm. Instead, you have Violent
You don't
Illusionist
have
and Pantry
bubbling
Spiders.
things. Bubbler.
So you don't have Bubbler. This is true. Um, Meanwhile, you do have good cards that have initiative, right? Like Blizzard,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of these sets, they're not afraid to print some pretty good removals.
Yeah.
They are afraid of printing a zombie chow. Understandably so, right?
This
Like
was this
we
was the Skullomance era, right? Like this is like what you will always remember and know from Skullomance is that it was not tempo possible. It was very tempo impossible, and Skullomance always had the answers, and Skullomance always had the endless card advantage. And whenever Skullomance is in, you have that. And these other sets, like we went over, and none of them do anything, except for maybe Darkmoon Fair. And Darkmoon Fair is corrupt, so to the extent that Darkmoon Fair adds any kind of tempo possibleness, that's delayed tempo possible.
so remember, we have a lot of power going out.
Mm-hmm.
Your consistency slash access to power is going to go down because of the sets that are leaving and the sets that are coming in, number one. But number two, because you don't have tradable cards anymore. You don't have dredge, right? Your discovers, the cards that discover, the body itself is going to be worse, and the pool that you discover from is also going to be worse. So that is going to go down. Now, it is being replaced by some nice value cards from Skullman's Academy and Madness at the Darkmoon Fair, but you're definitely going to feel it because you can't avoid that occasional pantry spider. You can't avoid the occasional, just C tier card from Rastakhan's Rumble. It's going to be really tough, just a decent card from Saviors of Oldham. So the game is going to be slow. You will want to take advantage of Infuse. You want to take advantage of Corrupt. You want to take advantage of these things. Because remember, whenever you have a meta such as this, we are going to have similarities to what we call like the parrot meta, right? In which it's like, sure, this takes time. That's fine. I will play in a way that gives me the best sort of pathway to get there, right? And I will try to outvalue. Don't blindly just like get cards, trade, do all of this stuff. A lot of times, by putting some pressure on your opponent, you are taking away a decent amount of the cards. That's
Mm-hmm.
also an advantage that you should be pushing. But man, it's gonna be tough. Okay, if you want to just blindly push face, the tools just
Yeah.
aren't there yet. And if a meta like that pops up, it'll be because Blizzard has done something fairly dramatic, not because of the natural state of these sets.
Yeah, but the natural state of the set is not like when you think Skullman's, it's slow. Yeah, it's slow, but it's more like it's swingy too. It's not just slow, and especially when you add some of the new cards that we'll go over on the infused side, but also with the corrupt side. These are delayed power, but they're delayed tempo power a lot of times. So you get these really big swing turns where you drop your 8/8 rush for 5 mana, where you do your infused cards that have their special ability triggered from the infused because you've held it for a while, and those oftentimes do translate into tempo. So it's not that tempo doesn't exist; it's just that on curve tempo isn't really going to exist. Instead, you're going to deal with a lot of swing tempo. And what swing tempo does is it encourages you to go face the next turn once you get the tempo, if your opponent can't remove it. So games aren't going, like when we say the game is slow, I don't want people imagining that you're just going to be there like you fishy, his fishy, fishy's your fishy. And then you get a smug senior that gets double fishied and another smug senior. Like, yes, that is Skullman's, but that's not going to be this upcoming meta because it's not just Skullman's. You're adding other delayed mechanics, but they're delayed tempo mechanics, whereas Skullman's was always just card advantage. So you are going to have that card advantage, but you're also going to have the ridiculous tempo swings. And the ridiculous tempo swings lead to a lot of face pushing. Like, this is why Night Captain was so good, right? It's a huge tempo swing, and then you just push face with the Night Captain, and your opponent's like, oh no, I'm losing life now. Like, you could trade, but most of the time you're just kind of pushing face with the Night Captain afterwards. So obviously Night Captain's going out, not coming in, but you're going to get a lot of those kinds of effects without needing honorable kill, because those effects would have been triggered by being in your hand. It's a really interesting set of sets that they have chosen to bring back. Like, this was just in the same way the Dragon meta we had before was like clearly a developer sat there and thought of what was the best way to make a fun meta, right? Same here. This is going in a different direction, but you're going to have that. Like, games are not going to end because everyone's drawing their last card. Games are going to end because someone's getting a big swing and someone can't stop it. So when Merps is talking about make sure you have the combos, not every combo is going to be. We'll go over the new Nathria combos. There's a lot of Nathria combos, but not every game-winning combo is going to be a Nathria combo. A lot of game-winning combos is just going to be, I have built up tempo in my hand that I haven't unleashed yet. I unleash it at the right time, and it doesn't get answered, and I punch face and I win. So that is going to be a large portion of your wins as well. So it may take 15 turns to get there, but you would still have like 6 cards in your hand when that happens. whether you're winning or losing.
Yep. All right. So that's a little bit of the preview with the sets going out and the sets coming in. I think a lot of people are really, really worried about the old sets. I think anytime old sets are coming in, people are worried.
No.
I would say let's just hold your horses for a second. And if nothing else, remember that offering rates and kind of this stuff is very much in control of the devs and how they, how much they want to offer. With discovers, with all of this stuff, like, they're touching a lot of these sort of like core mechanics and trying to tune them so that people aren't having just a bad experience in arena. So I would say let's just wait and see. At the very least, just be excited to be playing with new cards, right? I'm excited. I will be playing arena some. You're not going to take me from Diablo Immortal and all other games that much, right? I'm also playing Overwatch these days. Freaking Overwatch 2 needs to come
Overwatch
out.
1? You're playing over
Yeah,
because
I'm
the
playing
beta for
Overwatch
2
1.
ended.
I know. I play Overwatch 1
Oh,
sometimes.
wow. Okay.
So, I will actually be playing some arena. But that's it for this section. Let's move on to the next section where we can talk about the top neutral cards, okay? And at this point, like we always do, let's thank some people. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody watching on Twitch right now. That's you guys, smiley face if you're watching, and definitely not a bot. And also thank you to the mods who really, I don't know why you mod for this channel, but I thank all of you. I appreciate all of you. So let's end it there. On to the next video. Goodbye.
Till the next video, this is Adwinko.
This is Merps. Bye-bye.